I totally agree with you. You know, at the end of the day, they have to exercise as judgment. You know, really should. Yeah, exactly.
On the right are remains of our ancient medieval city walls. Their construction began in 1297, encircling 2.5 miles of the city and included 12 defensive gates. This surviving section is 137 metres long and incorporates part of the third intermediate tower. Although the wall reaches a height of 4.75 metres at its highest point, much of the parapet and parts of the upper wall have been lost. Prior to the Chantry Place shopping centre, this was the site of the Rowntree chocolate factory. Later taken over by Nestlé and known for producing the popular Rolo chocolates, the factory finally closed in 1996, before work on the shopping centre started in 2002. Coming up in front of us is the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist, one of two cathedrals in the city, but this one is much newer. This magnificent structure, emulating 13th century early English Gothic architecture, began construction in 1882 and was finally finished in 1910. The cathedral is of a cruciform design with an octagonal chapel, a nave of 10 bays and a vaulted ceiling. The striking tower can be climbed using the 230-step spiral staircase, providing 360-degree views of our fine city, and is so distinctive that during World War II, RAF pilots used it as a turning beacon when returning from bombing raids in Europe. blessed with an astounding collection of historic churches, a legacy of the city's wealth during the medieval period, when only London and York had larger populations. At the height of its prosperity, there were over 50 churches in Greater Norwich, and even today, over 30 still stand. Some are redundant, cared for by heritage organisations, and some are used for other purposes such as art or community centres. Others still serve, as they have done for hundreds, or, in some cases, over 1,000 years. As we drive along, on the right you will see the churches of St Swithin's, St Margaret's, St Lawrence's and St Gregory's, all 75 to 100 metres apart. Coming up on the right is Stranger's Hall. There has been a house here since the early 14th century, but only the undercroft, or cellar, remains. It was rebuilt in the mid-15th century and the present entrance door, porch and steps were added in the 1530s. In 1565, the city invited several Flemish master weavers, along with their close families and staff, to stay and help boost the local textile industry. In all, around 300 people came to the city, and over the following years, more people came. The influx was so great that by the late 16th century, the immigrants, or strangers, made up about... On our right is St Andrew's Church, the second largest in Norwich, and one of the last medieval churches to be built in the city. The main part dates back to around the start of the 16th century, but the tower and porches are slightly earlier. In 1603, its pastor was John Robinson, who was one of the founders of the Congregational Church, and later became pastor to the Pilgrim Fathers before their emigration to the New World. In front of us is Anglia House. Originally built in 1882, it has been home to Anglia TV since they started in 1959 and houses 4 production studios and offices. Some of Anglia's best known programmes include Sale of the Century, hosted by Nicholas Parsons, and Tales of the Unexpected. Ahead of us is Norwich railway station. Formerly known as Norwich Thorpe, it was one of 3 stations serving the city, along with Norwich City and Norwich Victoria. The first trains used the original station in 1844, operating between Norwich and Great Yarmouth, with lines added to London in 1845, Ipswich in 1851 and Cromer in 1874. With more and more people using the train, a new station was built, and it is this station that still survives. It opened in 1886 and was built at a cost of £60,000 by Messrs Youngs and Son of Norwich. It was built around the central clock, with 2-storey wings on either side, and there were initially 5 platforms, with a 6th added in 1954 and a modern booking hall in 1955. Norwich Thorpe was targeted by bombers during World War II and suffered damage in June 1940 and April 1942.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, and the can as
On our left is the riverside area of the city. In addition to the construction of the city walls, the River Wensum formed part of the city's defences. The river has been used for hundreds of years to transport goods and trade with other countries. There are several walks along the river where you can see more of our city of stories. On our left is Bishop Bridge. The stone bridge was constructed in the mid-14th century and replaced an earlier timber bridge. It was a gateway into the cathedral quarter of the city and at one point had a tower and drawbridge. In the late 18th century, the gate and tower were demolished after it was thought the weight of the tower was damaging the structure of the bridge and the necessary repairs were too expensive. In 1923, it was proposed that the bridge be replaced to allow the road to be widened. As a result, a group of concerned citizens set up the Norwich Society, who successfully campaigned for the bridge to be saved.
No, exactly. So you do get to see a lot more.
Coming up on our left is the Norwich Puppet Theatre. The organisation is dedicated to championing the special art form of puppetry through theatrical experiences and is one of only 3 building-based puppet theatres in England. It is set in the medieval church of St James the Less that dates back to around 1180 and possibly replaced an earlier building. Opened in 1980, the work to change it into the puppet theatre involved the conversion of the nave into an auditorium using old cinema seats, with the chancel made into a performance area. On our left is St Edmund's Church, which is now home to a youth theatre. St Edmund's was probably founded in the late Anglo-Saxon period, due to its dedication to the King of East Anglia in the 9th century. However, nothing older than the building from the 1400s exists. As we turn left, we will go over Fye Bridge, which is the earliest known bridge site in the city. Looking left, you will see the popular image of our historic port and quayside. This wharf was the focus of much of the city's history, and many goods were brought into the city here. we head into the historic area known as Tombland, you will see the Maid's Head Hotel on our left. Thought to be the oldest hostelry in England, with a history dating back over 8 centuries, it was built to house important visitors to the nearby cathedral, and has sheltered many famous names, like Elizabeth I, the Black Prince, and Catherine of Aragon. You might think that the name Tombland comes from a past use as a burial ground, but this is not the case. The name actually comes from 2 Old English words meaning open ground or empty space, and this was the location of the city's main marketplace before the Normans moved it to its current position. Tombland continued to be used for other events, including an annual horse fair. In 1272, during one of these fairs, violence broke out between the townsfolk and monks in the cathedral, one of which had been accused of killing a citizen.
Yeah, they are funny.
Salía de Florida, estaba encantada. El eterno verano, ¿no? El eterno verano, los días de las noches de Miami, no sé qué, te metes en Madrid, en ese tráfico, que se sentía y dice, me siento como un delfín cuando me ha sacado y me ha metido en una pecera
Y no puede moverse.
Y no puede moverse, pero se me siente igual. Estaba acostumbrada a ir a toda la zona sur de Florida, a no sé qué, toda la naturaleza.
A lo mejor había
Ahora está contenta.
Ya se ha adaptado.
Lleva 6 años. O más. No, 6, desde que lleva 6 años. 8.
Ya estamos en el 24, ¿sí?
Just units over there was still too.
Esta ciudad tiene superficie. Estos son más raros todos. Porque yo le compré el primer día en el supermercado, que me pagaste, y estoy de
Pues estará más bonito, porque lo compré ayer.
Wow, este estará más maduro. El de Canarias valía 1,70 y este valía 27 pence. Este está bajando.
No me gustan así de dulces.
Sí. Este valía 27 pence. Con el sol.
Van a pasar mucho calor.
¿No ha pasado calor?
Pero bueno, si fuera a meter los pies en
But look, there's no picture.
Que no está el hombre dentro del paradito, que debe ser que tiene de hecho, en un minuto nos movemos, debe ser que tiene la hora de salida en cada parada, en cada sitio. Si llegan,
Claro. Abajo tiene papel.
no, primero tiene que salir ahí fuera, claro. Luego en la siguiente parada.
Pues mira, esto es como la alta de la ciudad. Una alta de la ciudad.
Coming up on our right is the Royal Hotel. Officially opened in 1897, it has had several notable guests, including former Prime Ministers Harold Macmillan and Harold Wilson, and in 1954, famous comedy duo Laurel and Hardy. Looking up on our left-hand side is Norwich Castle. In the 11th century, Norwich was the third largest city in England, so when William the Conqueror became king, work began on a new Motte and Bailey fortress. Initially a simple timber fort, work to upgrade the castle keep started in 1094, with William II ordering it to be replaced with a stone one, using limestone from France. Following the death of William in 1100, work continued under the direction of Henry I. There are striking similarities between this keep and the one Henry had built at Falaise in Normandy. It was originally intended to be a royal residence, but ultimately no monarchs ever lived here, with Henry only staying once during the Christmas of 1121. In 1294, new city walls were built, enclosing a much larger area, so Norwich Castle no longer stood on the edge of the city. This inevitably meant that the castle lost its military importance. Like many castles, it was gradually becoming obsolete, and by the 14th century, the keep was being used as the county jail, a function it fulfilled until the late 18th century.
Do you want to get off or do you want to go on to
Following the original medieval design, the keep exterior, as we see it today,